It's Darkblade here with the part 3 of the Two Face mini-series. Today, well, in this episode we're going to be doing the left hand side, maybe the right hand side as well. We'll see how we get on. We might have to see how long the video actually runs for to start with, and then might split it up. But I'm going to do the left hand side of the suit today in a blue colour. Do the other side in like a purpley colour. I was struggling to find a colour combination that I actually liked. I've seen so many online, it's crazy, but I decided to go for this one. It's a bit West Ham and Aston Villa, but you know, bear with me, it might turn out alright. The one thing that threw me was the amount of different coloured faces he's got. I decided to go for, you know, obviously flesh on one side, but I want to do green on the other one. And I thought, you know, what's a good colour to go with the green? And I obviously fell with purple. So that then influenced the decision on whether to go white or maybe a light blue. I thought the light blue would be more interesting, so that's what we're going to go with. So let's crack on. Righto, what I've done is I've mixed the scale 75 bearing blue, mixed it with a tiny bit of white, and then I've diluted it down. So we're looking at a, let me show you on the side of the base actually. This is the colour pretty much out of the pot. I'll show you the consistency on the side of the base here. Let's go that way. That's out of the pot. Well, I'll say that I've got water on my brush. Okay, let's try again. That is the kind of coverage you get straight out of the pot. Obviously that's not going to be of much use when we want, you know, we've spent all that time doing zenithal priming, we want some of the shadows to actually show through. So I've got the paint and I've diluted it with, I'd say about just over 50% water. And here's the sort of coverage I'm getting there, if you can see that. Yeah, it's still very thin, and you can still see the black underneath it. So that's what we're going for on the suit. I'll just dry off the side of the base so we can carry on. So I'm using I'm not sure what, it's just a, it's not my greatest brush. It's like a base coat brush and it's quite big, so it's about a size 2 maybe. I'm going to start at the shoulder and work my way down. So there's quite a bit of paint on my brush. There's no great technique to this really, it's just pulling the paint down. I'll reload the brush. It's pretty much, it's not far off a glaze consistency, so it's in between a wash and a glaze. But the idea is that because of the zenithal priming, it'll keep showing through. You can still see your highlights. And your shadows. So this may take a couple of coats, it may take just one coat, we'll see how it dries. Right, I'll give that a blast with the hairdryer off camera and I'll come back when it's dry. Okay, so that's what it's looking like after one coat. I'm not really happy with it, so I'm just going to give it another quick coat. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit more water to the paint so it doesn't cover as much as the last pass. So here we go. If you get any air bubbles, just try and burst them. If you can't burst them with your brush, maybe, you know, sometimes you've got too much paint on your brush to burst them. Just give them a quick blow. I might be able to get rid of them, because you don't want to keep any bubbles there, because it'll spoil your finish. Okay, right, so that's coat number 2, and I think that should do it for that. We'll come back with the highlights now. Okay, right, that's the second coat on and dry. You can still see some highlights there, but we'll need to pick them out later on. What I'm going to do is start on the other side of the suit with the purple. This is Vallejo model color purple. I've watered it down again, just like the bearing blue. Let's give you an idea of the consistency here. It's more or less a glaze, because it's more textured. You can still see a lot of the black, and I think that just using a glaze should give a nice effect, but well, we'll see. So let's go in. I've obviously changed my brush, because you can probably see I've got a point on this one now, rather than the huge thing I was using earlier. That's because I want to keep it more precise, and I don't want to go into the blue. So here we go. As you can see, it's running into the recesses, so it might turn out okay. I'm hoping. I haven't got as much paint on my brush as I did with the blue side of the suit, as I want to keep some kind of control as I'm going down. It doesn't matter so much here. I just wanted to keep it neat at the edge of the blue side of the suit. I haven't actually tested this colour combination, so I'm quite excited really to see how it turns out. I must state that I'm not a West Ham supporter, or Burnley, or Aston Villa, or Swansea are the best team. Everybody knows that. Well, they should. You know, the results haven't been there, but it's still a good team. Apologise for the waffling. Okay, so we're getting close to the other side of the suit, so I'm gonna slow down and take it a bit more precisely. fingers crossed. It's not looking too shabby there, and that's just one coat. So we'll come back when it's dry and we'll see what it looks like. Right, that's the purple dry. You know what, I'm really tempted to just leave it there because it's looking really good. You can still see the highlights, you can still see the shadows. There's a lovely texture on it. So yeah, I'm I'm gonna leave it there. As you can see, I was only one glaze of purple, and you know, it looks amazing. You know, especially for tabletop. You know, I don't claim to be an amazing painter, but I'm all for looking. You know, if they look good, I'm gonna leave it there. That's really good. So we're gonna crack on with the highlights on the blue side. What I've done, I've added a bit of my Magic Super White. It's by Schmincke. It's like an ink, but I love it because, you know, you don't have to shake it for ages, you know, to get a nice consistency. You can just throw a bit of water on it and it's ready to go. It's amazing stuff. So I've added a tiny bit of that Super White to the original mix, and I'll just show you. That is, if you can see that is too intense. So what I do, I dip the tip of my brush in some water and I rub it on the paper towel. Now it's coming out like that. See, it's less intense. That's what I'm after for the highlights now, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'll crack on. I just want to just go along all the edges basically, and I'll apologise if I knock the camera. So I'm just running down the lapel. It's a really subtle highlight, but it should pick it out nicely. I'm not using the tip of the brush there, it's almost, well, it's just up from the tip. It's not quite the body of the brush. Just getting some more paint on. Turn it that way and I'll do the bottom edge of the suit. Might need to do a dark line underneath that bit. Apologies because I keep moving it around. It's starting to come. So that's basically the technique. If you test out your paint first, try it on your nail. If it looks too intense, you know, you can't see through it, that's not what you're after. You want to dilute it again. Just a tiny bit of paint can make a hell of a difference. Tiny bit of water, I mean, can make a great difference to the consistency. So it's a lot easier to work with then. Don't know if you can see that, the crease in his trousers now. I think the lights are quite harsh here, they're not very forgiving at all. don't want to go overboard on the highlights because they're already there in the because of the priming. I'll go again on the bottom of the suit. Okay, one more. I'm just going to wait and see how this actually looks before I go on to the next stage, because I'll do the sleeve off camera. But that's basically how you do your highlights. Okay, so that's the edge highlighting done. What I'm going to do now is try and put some more highlights in now, just by adding more water. So we've pretty much got glaze consistency. As you can see, the top of the shoulder needs to be lighter than the rest of it, so I'm just going to try and make a better balance. I'm just placing the paint on, and I'll try and move it around to where I want it to go. As you can see, I'm trying to move it up the lapel. And it'll then pool, you know, where you want it, and that's where the pigment will stay. I think this sculpt is probably one of my favourites so far from the second edition stuff. I don't know if you can see that at all. I'm starting here, but I'm pulling the paint up here. So as you can see, where my brush actually touches at the start, there's no pigment there. I'm pulling it all to the top, so it rests on the top of the shoulder. Right, we shall give that a blast with the hairdryer. Come back and see what it looks like. Okay, so that's dried nicely. What I'm going to do is add a little bit more white and more water, and we'll give it one last blast. But as you can see, the highlights are starting to come now, and they're looking pretty good, so it doesn't need a lot more now. I'll show you the same kind of consistency again. It's quite thin. Here we go. I want to try and concentrate it now right at the top of the shoulder, just to bring it out a bit more. So I'm starting here, pulling the paint up to the top of the shoulder. Same from the back. And just make sure it's pooling across the top of the shoulder blade. So start here, about there, and then pull it up and stop right at the top of the shoulder. I'm going to do it on the lapel as well. So I'll start about there and just pull it up. Might look a bit to start with, but remember it does, when it does dry, it doesn't look as bright. So I think I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not entirely happy with some of the shadows, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the original Bearing blue, add a little bit of a darker blue to it, and just push the shadows a little bit more, and I'll do that now. Okay, so working on pretty much the same consistency as we did for the highlights. I'll just show you here. It's really thin, but you know, a couple of coats of it and it's going to give you a nice little transition. So I'm going to be working, where should we work? Top of the thigh. Look, on the inside it's going to be a lot darker, so I've already got a shadow there, so I just want to emphasize it rather. I'll just feather it out at the bottom so you don't get that coffee stain look. So it's just water on my brush now. Just feathering it out so you get a nice smooth finish. And just quickly I'll do a bit on the sleeves. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that. Oh, I spotted another bit. And what we'll do, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll come back with probably the face, I would have thought. So I'm going to do a green face, because I saw this picture online, it looked pretty cool. So that's what we'll do. So thanks for watching. Get involved in the comments if you can. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the little bell in the bottom right of the window there. Apparently YouTube have changed their policies again, so if you could hit that one as well, so you get a notification whenever a video comes up again. So yeah, we'll come back in the next one. Episode 4 will be we'll do all the head, I think, so we do both sides of the face and the hair. So yeah, thanks for watching, see you in the next one. Cheers.